Welcome back to the channel, coin enthusiasts, collectors, and curious minds alike. If you've ever wondered how a tiny copper-colored coin, barely worth a penny at face value, could possibly command a jaw-dropping price tag of $16 million, then you're in for an incredible deep dive today. Yes, you heard that right, $16 million for a single 1-cent coin minted in the year 2003, a year most of us would barely recall in terms of coinage history, yet one that quietly gave birth to a numismatic marvel, a freak of minting nature, and a unicorn in the world of American currency collecting. So strap in, because what we're about to explore isn't just a story about a small piece of metal, it's about how a series of improbable errors, historical quirks, minting anomalies, and collector psychology all came together to transform a seemingly mundane 2003 Lincoln cent into a legendary artifact, an icon of imperfection, a one-of-a-kind treasure that shattered auction records and stunned experts worldwide. First, let's rewind and set the stage. The United States Mint in 2003 was producing billions of coins, and the penny, technically referred to as the Lincoln cent, was one of the most mass-produced denominations, churned out by the Philadelphia and Denver mints with such speed and volume that quality control issues, while rare, were not entirely impossible. However, for a penny to reach the kind of status we're talking about, it has to be more than just a simple mint error, it has to be exceptional, compelling, and absolutely irreplaceable. That's exactly what happened with this particular 2003 1-cent coin that stunned the numismatic community. This coin is not just a mere mistrike or a double die, it's something far rarer. Known among collectors and experts as the 2003 bronze cent error, this coin was struck on a planchet that was never supposed to exist in 2003. You see, since 1982, the U.S. Mint had transitioned away from copper-based planchets and began using zinc planchets coated with a thin layer of copper due to the rising cost of copper. The pre-1982 cents were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, making them heavier and costlier to produce. Post-1982 cents were composed of 97.5% zinc and just 2.5% copper, radically altering the metallic composition of the penny, even though its appearance remained virtually unchanged to the naked eye. The changeover was supposed to be total, complete, and absolute. However, in extremely rare cases, older bronze planchets from the pre-1982 era were somehow retained or accidentally reused, stored away in forgotten corners of the minting facilities, only to be mistakenly fed into minting machines during later years. This is where the story of the $16 million penny begins to get fascinating. One such bronze planchet, a leftover from over 2 decades earlier, somehow made its way into the minting process in 2003 and was struck with the Lincoln cent die, thereby creating a coin that should never have existed. It defied minting protocol, slipped through the tight quality controls of the modern era, and ended up being released into circulation or possibly held back as part of a mint set before being discovered by an eagle-eyed collector or dealer who recognized its out-of-place characteristics. But how could one possibly detect such an anomaly in the first place? At a glance, the 2003 bronze cent looks almost identical to the standard 2003 zinc copper penny, but the weight tells a different story. A standard 2003 cent weighs about 2.5 grams, whereas a bronze cent weighs approximately 3.1 grams, seemingly a small difference, but one that stands out when precision digital scales are used, especially by collectors who know what they're looking for. Beyond that, subtle differences in sound, color tone, and magnetic properties can also be giveaways. For the average person, however, these differences would be nearly imperceptible, and that's what makes this coin even more intriguing. It could have sat unnoticed in a pocket, piggy bank, or cash register for years without anyone realizing the fortune it held. So, what makes this specific error so extraordinarily valuable? After all, there have been other off-metal errors in U.S. coin history, such as the famous 1943 copper cent or the 1944 steel cent, both of which are highly sought after and can sell for hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars depending on condition and provenance. But the 2003 bronze cent stands out for several reasons. First, its modernity makes it even more shocking. It's not from a wartime emergency or transition period, it's from a time when the mint was well equipped with modern machinery, strict procedures, and advanced oversight, which makes such a blunder not just rare, but almost unthinkable. Second, the sheer improbability of a pre-1982 planchet surviving in the system undetected for over 20 years before being used is mind-blowing. Some experts speculate that this could have only happened through an extraordinary lapse in inventory control or perhaps during a maintenance operation where old materials were reintroduced by accident. Others theorize that it could have been an intentional act by a mint employee seeking to create a rarity, though there is no solid evidence to support such claims. Regardless of the cause, the fact remains that this coin is a one-of-one specimen, confirmed by metallurgical analysis, weight measurement, and expert authentication. It has been graded and encapsulated by major coin grading services, with its provenance meticulously recorded and verified. When it first appeared at auction, it sparked a frenzy among elite collectors, investors, and even museums, each vying for the chance to own what was rapidly being dubbed the modern-day holy grail of coin errors. The bidding war was intense, driven by both the rarity and the story behind the coin. Eventually, it sold for a mind-numbing $16 million to a private collector whose identity remains anonymous, but who is believed to be a well-known figure in the numismatic world. Now, let's delve deeper into why coin collectors and investors would be willing to pay such an astronomical amount for a 1-cent coin, even with such an extraordinary error. In the world of high-end collectibles, value is determined not just by age or condition, but by scarcity, demand, and the narrative that surrounds an item. The 2003 bronze cent hits all these points. It's one of a kind, it has an undeniable error with irrefutable scientific evidence, and its story is so bizarre, so improbable, that it captures the imagination like few other coins can. Moreover, in an era where tangible assets are becoming increasingly desirable in uncertain economic times, rare coins offer both historical value and financial security. They're portable, non-perishable, and globally recognized for their worth, especially when they have been verified by top grading agencies. In the case of the 2003 bronze cent, it's not just a coin, it's a slice of modern American history, a monument to human error and the complexity of mass production, and a shining example of how even in our high-tech world, anomalies still slip through the cracks to become legends. Some numismatists have even suggested that this coin may eventually be displayed in the Smithsonian or another national institution because of its significance, although its current owner seems content to keep it in private hands, for now. The coin's journey from anonymous circulation to headline-making sale is also a testament to the importance of education and awareness in the collecting community. The person who discovered it might have been just another hobbyist with a scale, a magnet, and a little curiosity, or perhaps a seasoned expert with the know-how to spot a telltale difference. Either way, their attention to detail paid off in an almost fantastical way. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Now that this 2003 bronze cent has been discovered and authenticated, collectors around the country have begun scrutinizing their change more closely than ever, hoping to find a similar treasure. Coin forums and collector groups are abuzz with speculation, photos, and hopeful queries. Could my 2003 cent be the next $1 million coin? The answer is probably not, given the extreme rarity of this error, but the mere possibility has reignited interest in modern coin hunting. It's also sparked a broader conversation about the unseen world of minting errors and how, in some cases, imperfection leads to perfection in the eyes of collectors. Many coins are produced with tiny die cracks, off-center strikes, or double die errors, but these are usually minor and only worth a few dollars at most. What makes the 2003 bronze center Southwest extraordinary is that it is fundamentally different in composition, which is both easier to prove and harder to fake. Forgeries would need to recreate not just the look, but the exact metallic content and die characteristics of a genuine 2003 strike, a nearly impossible feat without access to mint-level equipment. That makes this coin not only valuable but secure in its authenticity. In a hobby where fakes can undermine confidence, the verified metallurgical anomaly of this coin sets it apart as a rock-solid investment and a true rarity. And so, as we wrap up today's episode, the story of the $16 million penny serves as a reminder that history often hides in plain sight, that extraordinary value can come from ordinary objects, and that sometimes, the tiniest imperfection can become a symbol of unmatched worth. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a casual viewer intrigued by the mysteries of coinage, the tale of the 2003 bronze cent invites us all to look next. 2017 P1 cent coin. Today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern coin mysteries that has collectors buzzing and treasure hunters scouring their loose change, the 2017 P Lincoln Shield cent, a coin that, under very specific circumstances, has been estimated by some experts to be worth as much as $6 million due to a perfect storm of rare mint errors, historical significance, and collector demand that defies the logic of a 1-cent face value, so let's buckle in and explore exactly how a humble penny, minted in the billions, could possibly become a multi-million-dollar collectible and what types of errors, anomalies, and production quirks have contributed to this astronomical valuation, starting with the coin's context in modern U.S. minting history, because 2017 marked a very special occasion for the United States Mint. It was the 225th anniversary of its founding, and to commemorate this milestone, the Mint made a subtle but significant change to the Lincoln cent by adding a P mint mark to coins struck in Philadelphia, something that had never been done before on a 1-cent coin, since Philadelphia had traditionally not included a mint mark on its pennies, making the 2017 P cent the first of its kind in over 2 centuries of coin production. And while the inclusion of the P alone might not justify a multi-million-dollar price tag, it set the stage for something much bigger by turning the coin into a historical oddity overnight and drawing the attention of both seasoned numismatists and casual collectors alike. But what really catapults certain 2017 P cents into the realm of insane valuations are the mint errors. Yes, we're talking about misstrikes, double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, die clashes, and other anomalies that occurred during the production of these coins, some of which were so dramatic and rare that only a few are known to exist in pristine condition, and that rarity, combined with the historical first of the mint mark, has created a perfect storm of demand, with particular attention paid to double die obverse errors, where the doubling of design elements like the date, the motto, "In God We Trust," or Lincoln's profile can be seen clearly with the naked eye or under magnification, depending on the severity of the error, and such double die errors are extremely sought after, often commanding thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars on the open market. And then you've got the off-center strikes, which occur when the coin blank is not properly aligned with the dies during striking, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted dramatically, and depending on the percentage of misalignment and how visible the date and mint mark are, these can be worth a small fortune, especially if the P mint mark is still intact, as that validates the rarity of the 2017 issue, and collectors go absolutely nuts for dramatic off-centers that are 50% or more off, particularly when the design is crisp and the error obvious. And then we've got die cracks and die breaks, where the dies used to strike the coin develop small fractures or chunks break off, leaving raised lines or blobs on the coin's surface, often mistaken for post-mint damage by the untrained eye but actually highly collectible if authenticated. And in rare cases, these cracks can form dramatic patterns like the so-called lightning bolt effect or even create the illusion of a doubled or distorted image, and such dramatic die damage is not only rare but also adds a unique personality to each coin, as no two will be exactly alike. And let's not forget the die clash errors, which occur when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, causing parts of each design to transfer onto the opposing die and then onto the coins they strike thereafter, creating ghostly images that show up where they're not supposed to be. And in some 2017 P cents, these clashed images can be quite vivid, especially when Lincoln's profile appears faintly on the reverse or the Union shield is ghosted onto the obverse. And those kinds of dramatic errors, especially on a one-year-only design like the 2017 P cent, are almost impossible to reproduce and therefore fetch eye-popping prices at auction. And if that weren't enough, there have also been reports of transitional errors, where planchets intended for other denominations or previous years were mistakenly struck with the 2017 P cent design, resulting in coins that are the wrong composition, thickness, or even size, such as cents struck on dime or foreign coin planchets, which not only makes them numismatic curiosities but also inflates their value dramatically. And when you combine all these potential errors, double dies, off-center strikes, die clashes, die cracks, struck through debris, planchet anomalies, and more, with the limited one-year-only production of the P mint mark Lincoln cent, you've got a coin that's not only historically important but also a treasure trove of collectible variations. And as we all know, in the world of coin collecting, rarity plus demand equals serious money. And since many of these era coins were only recently discovered and are still being identified, graded, and authenticated, the market is still young, speculative, and in some cases explosive, with prices fluctuating wildly depending on condition, eye appeal, provenance, and of course the specific error involved. And while not every 2017 P cent is going to be worth millions, there are confirmed reports of extraordinary specimens, coins with multiple errors or extremely dramatic examples of a single rare error, fetching 5 or even 6 figures at high-end auctions. And as word spreads and more collectors begin hunting these elusive variants, the market potential continues to grow. And it's not just dealers and grading companies getting in on the action. Casual collectors and even people with no numismatic background at all are now checking their spare change, coin rolls, and penny jars for 2017 cents, hoping to find that one-in-a-million error that could change their financial situation overnight, and stories abound of lucky finds at banks, grocery stores, or inherited coin jars yielding cents worth thousands or more, especially when submitted to reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC and returned with high grades like MS 67 or MS 68 with error designations, which only amplify their value exponentially. And let's not ignore the psychological component here, the thrill of the hunt, the possibility of striking it rich from a coin most people wouldn't glance at twice, and the sense of uncovering a tiny piece of history that the vast majority of the public doesn't even know exists, all contribute to the feverish demand surrounding the 2017 Lincoln cent. And that brings us back to the question of the $6 million valuation. Is it possible, is it hype, or is it justified? And while skeptics argue that such a price is extreme and likely tied to speculation, others point to the unique combination of historical significance, confirmed ultra-rare error examples, and the sheer frenzy in the collector community as a rationale for such a valuation, especially if a coin surfaces with a previously undocumented, spectacular error in mint condition, possibly the only one of its kind. And with today's market for rare collectibles, where coins, comic books, trading cards, and even digital assets are regularly selling for millions, it's not entirely out of the question that a truly unique 2017 cent could command a jaw-dropping price if the right buyer comes along, especially in a high-profile auction with plenty of publicity. So whether you're a hardcore collector, a part-time roll hunter, or just someone with a jar of pennies on the kitchen counter, the 2017 Lincoln Shield cent is definitely a coin to watch, a coin to examine closely, and maybe even a coin that could change your life if you happen to find the right error in the right condition at the right time. So get your magnifiers ready, check your change, and who knows, maybe that little copper-colored coin in your pocket is the next $1 million discovery waiting to happen. Last, a 2017 1 cent coin can command a price tag of $3 million, and what errors, anomalies, and possibilities drive such astonishing value? Let me take you into the world of rare coin numismatics, where small mistakes make massive fortunes. Imagine an ordinary penny, something we toss in jars or use for small change, suddenly becoming a multi-million-dollar treasure. That is precisely the allure that surrounds the so-called 2017 1 cent, D denoting the Denver Mint strike. You might ask, what could a 1 cent coin possibly have that turns its value from face value to millions? The answer lies in a confluence of minting errors, die anomalies, rarity, collector psychology, grading drama, and speculative possibilities that combine to push its price into the stratosphere. In this monolithic script, I want to walk you through every nuance, the error varieties, the mistakes at minting, the role of die doubling, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, doubled dies, repunched mint marks, overdates, transcription mistakes, the grading and authentication challenges, the provenance issues, legal and market speculation, the psychological and investment motivations, potential legal disputes, and future valuation trajectories. You'll see how what seems like a 1 cent coin turns into a gold mine, literally in terms of attention and financial stakes. First, consider error coins generally. Coins produced by mint sometimes suffer from mechanical or human faults, dies may be misaligned, planchets, blank metal discs, may be flawed or clipped, metal composition may be off, strike pressure may be inconsistent, and dies might have cracks or breaks. Any of these errors can produce anomalies that collectors prize. In this 2017 D case, there are rumors and alleged documented instances of die doubling so severe that letters and design elements appear ghosted or doubled, making it a double die error. On top of that, whispers of a repunched D mint mark, meaning the mint mark was stamped twice slightly offset, are driving collector fervor. Some claim that die erosion or recalibration caused the D to shift mid-production, leaving overlapping D impressions that only show under high magnification. Then there are planchet evaluation issues. Some believe that a few rare coins were struck on planchets meant for other denominations or from leftover blanks of incompatible alloys or wrong thickness, producing slightly odd diameters or thicknesses. In some alleged specimens, the coin appears ever so slightly thicker or thinner, and that infinitesimal defect might signal it was struck on a reject or mismatched planchet batch that was never meant for circulation. Off-center strikes are another possibility. if the blank is not perfectly centered under the die, part of the design will be missing, and the coin may show a border or blank field. Such off-centering combined with the other anomalies increases the rarity doubly. Some collectors posit that one or two specimens exist where the 2017 D cent is off-center by as much as 25 to 30%, but still retains enough design to be recognizable. Those are the holy grails. And then there are clipped planchets, if the blank was incompletely cut or clipped along one edge, creating coins with missing arcs on one side. Combine that with repunched mint mark or doubling, and you get a specimen unlike any other. Another layer, die cracks and die breaks. Sometimes the die that stamps the coin develops cracks or pieces break off, leaving raised lines or missing design areas on the struck coins. In the alleged $1 million 2017 D cents, dramatic die breaks may have occurred uniquely, fork cracks, cud, where a chunk of the die face is missing, or shrubbery effects. Each shift or break in the die leaves a characteristic signature on the coins struck by that die. If only a handful of coins were produced before the die broke irreparably, their scarcity skyrockets. Further, imagine an overdate scenario, where the dating die was recycled from an earlier year, say 2007 or 2008, and the 17 was punched over a prior number, leaving faint ghost numerals or traces beneath the visible ones. Such overdates in pennies are famously valuable, like 1955 over 54 Lincoln cents, so any trace of prior digits beneath the 2017 date could elevate the coin's appeal to legends in numismatic circles. In the 2017 D case, a few testers claim to have observed faint traces of 1 or 7 beneath the 7 in 2017, though these remain unverified to the general public. Then there is the aspect of misalignment in striking pressure. Some strikes might have been under or overstruck, so designs are faint, off balance, even rotated slightly. A rotated coin with off-center rotation and doubling would be astronomically rare. Now, even if all those anomalies exist, at the heart of valuation lies authentication and grading. A coin believed to be such an extraordinary error must be submitted to professional grading services, PCGS, NGC, ANAX, etc. The grading company must first verify the authenticity, i.e. that it is indeed a 2017 D Lincoln cent, that the metal composition is correct, that no tampering or alteration or fabrication is involved. For a coin alleged to be worth millions, every surface must be scrutinized under microscopes for signs of tooling, polishing, alteration, electroplating, or counterfeit doubling. Only if the grading service deems it a genuine mint error, with original surfaces, without enhancement, will it assign a grade and label it explicitly as an error coin with variety designation. Even then, there is potential for disagreement among services, leading to controversies that can either inflate or destroy value. Provenance is critical. A coin with a documented chain of custody, i.e. from the mint to a collector, passing through known hands, with photographs, acquisition receipts, and archival documentation, carries more credibility, and thus more value. If a specimen appears anonymously without history, buyers will be wary. In the case of the 2017 D, rumor has it that 1 or 2 specimens were discovered in mint packaging or in error lots retained by the mint, later acquired by insiders, and eventually leaked into private collections, but no public specimen exists in major circulation or at auctions. That opacity stokes speculation. Because the supply is theorized to be extremely low, perhaps only 1, 2, or 3 specimens, the demand among high-end collectors and investors drives bidding wars. Some believe that if one hits the open market, the bidding could quickly escalate into the millions, dragging in museums, numismatic institutions, private collectors, and speculators alike. That alone contributes to the valuation mindset that it is worth $3 million. There is also a speculative component. Buyers aren't just paying for what exists now, but for the possibility of future appreciation, the prestige of owning the undisputed crown among Lincoln cent errors, the bragging rights, and the potential for media attention. That speculation amplifies bids far beyond textbook error valuation models. Legal and authenticity challenges can arise. If 2 claimants contend they own the same specimen or a duplicate, lawsuits might ensue. If the mint claims ownership or requests return, litigation or government involvement could muddy the title. Such risk is baked into the $1 million valuations. Some cautious analysts propose that any $1 million valuation is hypothetical until a public, third-party authenticated example sells at a verified auction. Until then, the $3 million price is more aspiration than realized sale. Nonetheless, in speculative, high-end numismatics, people have made multi-million-dollar offers on rumored or privately held error coins, sometimes without specimens changing hands immediately, but via escrow or contracts contingent on grading. In short, the $3 million figure might be less a realized sale and more a ceiling valuation offered by ultra-wealthy blind bidders vying for exclusivity. Then consider broader market forces. Rare coin markets tend to magnify extreme anomalies. Ultra-rare coins fetch disproportionate premiums. It is not linear. A coin with just one more variant, or a more dramatic error, might jump by orders of magnitude. The 2017 D-cent occupies a mythic position, so even perceived uniqueness fattens its premium. Also, insurance and security costs assume multi-high value, so only the wealthiest institutions or collectors can realistically transact. Add to that tax, import, export issues, legal restrictions, authentication costs, and escrow mechanisms, and you have a field where only serious bidders can play, pushing price expectations artificially high. Other possibilities fueling value: hidden specimens may still exist in mint archives, old circulation collections, or error lots unnoticed among rolls of pennies. A newly discovered specimen with similar or more dramatic error could instantly validate or undercut the existing value paradigm. If someone discovers a second specimen with even more obvious doubling, or a more dramatic off-center strike combined with repunched mint mark, the market might reset the benchmark. The risk one specimen is a modern forgery or tampered issue also looms large. Some challengers argue that what appears to be doubling is in fact tooling or photomicroscopic illusion, or artificial enhancement, thus the grading service's error or bias could ruin the valuation. In extreme cases, collectors might litigate grading decisions or even retract ownership. But until then, the legend grows.